Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I would like to reconvene the meeting to order in open session. Welcome to this evening's hybrid Board of Trustees meeting being held both in person and virtually. This meeting has been made accessible to the members of the public on the link at the Moreland School District website, as well as on board docs. Any person who requires accommodations to access the meeting has been asked to contact the superintendent's office within 24 hours of this meeting. This meeting is being recorded and may be published online at a later date. And with that, my favorite part of a board meeting, I would love to invite the Colts that are in the audience up to the podium to lead us in tonight's flag salute.
You guys are going to stand up.
Hi. All right, are you ready to lead us in the flag salute? Okay, I'll go for it. Should we stand?
Please stand.
Okay, all right. It's
Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening. You look fabulous tonight, all dressed up. If you would please each take a turn, tell us your name and what makes you a recess rock star.
How about Sam? You want to start?
My name is Samuel and I'm a recess rock star for meaning of balls and accepting balls.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My name is Tyson Tsubaka, and what I did to become a rock star is to do the same thing as Sam, but also to clean up trash and be responsible for other people, but also
Thank you.
Very good. Huh?
Thank you. Thank you, Mama.
Raising hours, and I raise that kind of hopefully go up and play space.
Thank you.
My name is Zeke, and because I was a rock star, I picked up the hula hoops and they're on the ground. My name is Alina. Since I'm a recess rock star, I cleaned up trash even if it was not.
Oh,
Thank you.
recess is such an important part of your day. And so to have your leadership is amazing. Shira?
Oh, thank you so much for coming. And you guys are doing such an awesome job, I'm sure, of keeping all of your fellow students and everybody safe, and your campus and school clean and nice. So congratulations for all of that. So the most important question is, have you guys picked out your Halloween costumes yet? You have? All right.
No, yes.
I think one of them, I know what they might be this Halloween.
Might be a sneak preview.
Preview. Anybody wants to go what they want to be for Halloween?
Maybe a giant Lego brick.
Oh,
Lego brick, that's very cool. That's awesome.
ah,
Oh, okay, keep up 100. That's a pretty hot thing this year.
that's right. Oh.
Pikachu.
Pikachu, nice.
and then dragon.
Mm.
K-pop.
Excellent.
Somebody had to say.
I'm so excited.
Thank you guys for coming in. Have any of you already gone to the Moreland Woods? Have you guys been over to visit over at EDS Moreland Woods? I hear it's really a lot of fun. You get to pick out your pumpkins and choose the trails. They have the spooky trail there. And I think they're gonna be having the terrifying tunes.
Yeah.
You're gonna go?
The pumpkin patch.
The pumpkin patch.
I don't know what the one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pumpkin patch. Yeah, I would hope to see all of you guys there. It sounds like a lot of fun. I think October brings a lot of new things and Halloween around the corner. This is very exciting to have you guys come in and talk to us and get us to show off what you guys have been doing as Recess Rock Stars. I hope you guys are also classroom rock stars, right? Doing good schoolwork. But thank you again. It's just a friendly reminder of what special things that you guys are able to do here in the district for us. Thank you for coming in.
Dr. Cobb.
Yeah, well, okay, rock stars, Elaine Colts. Zeke, I remember you from this morning in Wright. Remember that? I remember.
Look at that
The
smile.
smile says
Yes,
yes.
great job. It's really hard to stand up in front of all these people and talk to us in public speaking, and you guys all did a very, very nice job, and I'm very proud of you. We love when the kids come to these meetings because it is a reminder of why we do what we do. It's so important, and you guys are the most important part of everything that we do. You bring joy to the world and to us on these nights. So I just want to say thank you to you and your families, and your teachers for setting it up, your principals too. And guess what?
That's it.
You're excused.
Good job.
Thank you.
This woman is going to.
You have the writings.
Oh, yeah,
I should look at them.
I have multiples. All right, well, that was fabulous. I will report out that there was no action taken this evening in closed session and move to tonight's agenda. I have one change. We do need to reconvene in closed following open. Are there any other changes or comments on tonight's agenda? No? All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
And I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Just for the audience's sake, Brian will be joining us. He's literally in the air currently and getting ready to land. So he'll be here as soon as possible.
Comments from the public.
Mhm.
Members of the public may address the board on any subject of concern to you, including those not on tonight's agenda. However, provisions of the Brown Act preclude any action as an unagendized item. No response is required or permitted from the board or district staff, and as already stated, no action can be taken. The board, however, may instruct the superintendent to follow up, which may or may not include placing the item on a future meeting's agenda. If you would like to address the board this evening, please complete the blue comment card within the first 15 minutes of the board meeting being called to order in public session. On the card, please list the agenda items you would like to speak to. If your comments do not pertain to an agendized item, please write public comment. When your name is called, please come to the podium, state your name and the organization that you're representing. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per board governance manual. And we have one public comment from Adam Poulos.
Yes,
Hope I said that right.
this is right.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Adam Paulus. And I spoke to you on September 9th about transportation for my son, Elliot, age 5. Elliot is autistic and receives special education services. I'm back, unfortunately, because the problem still has not been fixed. My son's IEP requires adult support during transitions, but his transportation section doesn't clearly require adult-to-adult handoff. And that gap in wording is what allowed staff to downgrade his transportation over the summer, safe service to a general education bus. And as I mentioned last time, within 3 weeks, Elliot was dropped off at the wrong house and left in the middle of the street with no adult handoff. And those failures already proved that curb to curb is unsafe for him. We filed a formal complaint with the California Department of Education on September 8th. That investigation is active. And in response to my last comment here, thanks to you, Everdriven was reinstated, but only temporarily. Because it isn't written into my son's IEP, the staff can remove it at any time. Now, you all already knew about that. You knew about the CDA complaint. But what you didn't know is how your staff chose to respond. Instead of fixing the problem, they refused to amend Elliot's IEP. They suggested waiting until December. And then they had the district's attorney send me a letter that was hostile, inaccurate, and clearly intended to intimidate my family. That letter is now part of the CDE investigation report. Here's one line of it, so there's no confusion. We understand the driver has on occasion walked Elliot to the door when an adult was visible in the house but refused to come to the car to retrieve him. Now, none of that ever happened, not once. There's no evidence because it isn't true. And if that's how this district's lawyer talks to the parents of children with disabilities, something is seriously wrong. In our IEP meeting, when we met in good faith to ask the staff how we could get this into the IEP, the staff asked me, now that Elliot is a little older, is a little bit different. My answer was simple, no. The same risk that had just caused 2 safety incidents last month still exists today. And pretending he's suddenly grown out of it overnight to avoid liability while ignoring what actually happened is reckless. And the obstruction did not stop there. Moreland staff privately directed Everdriven to downgrade service twice. First, to stop walking my son from the car to our home, and then again to stop walking him from the classroom to the car. These changes were made silently, with no IEP amendment, no prior written notice, and no notification to us. They were private directives.
Another,
Moreland
Adam,
staff
just another 10 seconds, just so from a time
to a
perspective.
vendor that reduced Elliot's safety, which is a unilateral reduction of special education service, something explicitly prohibited under state and federal law. My ask tonight is simple. Direct the superintendent to amend Elliot's IEP now to require adult-to-adult handoff at both school and home, implemented by Everdriven or an equivalent provider by written confirmation to our family. Your own staff's behavior have proven this is necessary. And just a few weeks after
It's
Everdriven
time.
was reinstated, we
Thank you.
downgraded safe transportation twice and are trying to eliminate it entirely.
Thank you,
Thank
Adam. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. We have a report. Ulysses, are you right? There you are. Okay, thank you. So October is National Principal Appreciation Month. We like to celebrate our principals and assistant principals, but April is when assistant principals get their own. For the record, they have their own. So I always talk about principals and assistant principals as one, because they both work hand in hand, but we just don't want anyone's feelings to be hurt on social media when we're focused on principals this month. You will get your chance and we'll make it very.
Chance to give.
Yes.
Thank you for clearing.
I always thought April came earlier, so that's why assistant principals were ahead. That's the way I looked at it.
Came first. Cardboard Day. So last week I was able to attend Payne's first ever Cardboard Day. The entire school read the book, Not a Box, which is a book about seeing the possibilities, mostly children seeing things that adults aren't able to see. with their creativity. And so then the students put all that creative energy together. They created their own masterpieces out of all things cardboard. So thank you to Payne for entering that into the day. I want to congratulate the cross country and our boys basketball athletes who just completed their season. Cross country had a great showing at the West Valley Athletic League finals. The 8th grade boys team from EDS also took home the championship after a very tough matchup against MMS. And then next now we have girls soccer and boys volleyball is up. There they are. Next slide. So a big thank you to all volunteers who came out for the Beautiful Day Project at Baker this past weekend. The project refurbished Baker's school garden and created a new walking path and shade area within that garden. So thank you to everyone who came out to help with that endeavor. Last month, staff came out to get ready for our annual emergency preparedness training. Our safety consultant led the training for all district office staff from MOT, Enrollment Center, everyone here. We are prepared. When the next emergency happens, we get a chance to practice those protocols. This Thursday, we have the Great Shakeout, where we practice if there was a major earthquake. All of the schools and the district office staff will be engaged in that simulation, if you will. And so we will definitely send a notice to parents that day about the drill and our district emergency procedures. And then since we last met, I attended both the MEF and President Council's meetings, and I am simply blown away by the number of volunteers and the amount of hours they've already put in. Both rooms have been full, President's Council, MEF, which has not been the case in the past. And so we can definitely see that families are coming back and donating their time, and lots of families from little ones, right? So they're going to be with us for a long time. That was exciting. So I just want to thank all of the homeschool club presidents, co-presidents, boards for getting in those volunteers, making that so much more robust, and just everyone for stepping up. And let's see, Pumpkin Patch, if you haven't been, you should go. So opening night was last Friday. We also had the first ever Moreland Film Festival with our middle schoolers. So we had 8 videos that made the cut. I want to give a big thank you to all the MEF volunteers who came out to make that possible. If you're interested, the Pumpkin Patch is open every Friday evening, Saturday and Sunday through November 1st. So that concludes my remarks to this portion of the agenda.
All right, thank you. And just for the sake of the audience, that was kind of a little bit of an awkward transition. You
Which
handled
we've
that really
acknowledged.
nice. We cannot comment on public comments. And so if you're wondering why we're unable to respond, it's because we can't. All right, board members' communications.
All right, it's going to be a long evening, so I'm going to keep this really quick. Had the opportunity to go to Payne as part of the fall site visit by the board. It was exciting to see the new school year in action. The campus looked really nice with all of the sprucing up that happened. I had an opportunity to step into some of the classrooms, see how they're implementing the new curriculum, and also some of the new reading programs that they have in place. So I'm really excited for what is going to come out of that, the good work that's happening there. Then I had the opportunity to be one of the board representatives for the President's Club. So much work going on in each school site for the upcoming, whether it's the fundraising activities, the parent nights, or like Baker's catwalks coming up this Saturday. Tons of activity. It just blows my mind away in terms of how much is happening at each site, and the incredible amount of volunteer time that goes into making that happen, obviously with support from leadership as well. And then early this morning, I had the opportunity to be at Baker for Baker's site visit. Very excited to see the new garden that was put in place. Looked amazing. Can't wait for all the kids to start using it and seeing how that happens. That's it.
Okay, and I'll just add on, I was with Freedom when we did site visit for Payne, and thank you for Jeanette and Mariah to show us around, have some talks about with the programs that they're implementing, and get to see it in action, going into each of the classrooms with the time that they have, and really excited to see how the kids are jumping on board this year and getting started. There's a lot of things that they're hoping to make changes for or make some improvements, and it looks like it's coming together quite nicely. And then I'll just add on that I have yet to go to the pumpkin patch this past weekend, but my kids were there. I dropped them off, and you know what? I dropped them off at 6, and I didn't hear from them until 10:30. I don't think anyone else was there. I thought they were cleaning up. They had a lot of fun. So kudos. I know it's always a fun time, and it's always been very popular in the area. So I would advise anyone else to go and check it out. They said the maze, the scare maze, was really good. Oh yeah, they legitimately scared.
Grimm's Hollow, there,
Yes.
yeah.
Is that it?
I don't do it. It's too scary for me.
All right, I will try to be quick, but I do have a little bit of a list. So since our last meeting, I hosted the West Side Boards meeting here in the boardroom. So thank you, Debbie, for lining that all up. That continues to be a really helpful group. For those of you who may not know, this is an opportunity for me or whoever is representing our board to meet with other trustees from the neighboring school districts and just share best practice and things like that. We covered a variety of topics, contracts, budgets, AI, attendance, all that good stuff. The one thing that piqued my interest was how some of the other districts are approaching declining enrollment. And so there are some really creative ideas happening out there. And so I actually followed up and went to each of their websites. So it's really interesting. I'd not done that before. I don't know why. Moreland's website is very nice, by the way. But I did notice, I think it was Union, has now displayed how much space there is by classroom and by grade level. It's a very colorful graphic, which I thought was interesting. So, we'll see what happens. I enjoyed going to Latimer for their site visit. Had a wonderful opportunity to see their SIPSA in action, as we've talked about. I saw a lot of writing. I saw a lot of students, saw a lot of students talking. And Hillary was great about kind of pointing me in. This is what you heard me talk about, and this is what you're seeing, which was really helpful. One thing for me when I walk into a classroom is I kind of always look to see, like, are students engaged? And in this particular visit, I did notice that when they're engaged in talking with each other, there is no opportunity to disengage, right? You have to be in it. And so I was impressed. I know that's a real focus in the district. And so it was really a meaningful visit. And I want to thank the leadership for that time as well. MEF, you covered, it was a very full room. Grant applications are underway. The fund drive is in full motion. Concerts are being planned. And of course, the pumpkin patch. So the pumpkin patch opened on Friday. It's been mentioned. I actually targeted the film festival because I was so curious to see what the first, hopefully annual film festival looked like. And it was amazing. I don't really even have sufficient words to express how completely impressed I was. First, I started with the high school, so I want to give MEF the recognition for reaching out to the neighboring high schools. And I want to give Mr. Medina at Prospect, who oversees their 4-year film program, a shout out for having come out and supported his students and our students who maybe will be headed that direction. I was a little embarrassing because for a couple of the films, I was crying. I was so moved. I could not, I know. Shocking. I know. It's a surprise for those of you who know me. I was so moved and so impressed. And the films that were spooky, there were some that were funny, but all of them really displayed a very unique talent, right? That I had not seen our kids really display before. I mean, one of the videos took place in a haunted house, which was a dollhouse, and had little plastic characters. And amazing, just amazing. So I hope they continue. And I thank them for all that extra work. I attended a CSBA webinar, which was really interesting. Very quickly, it was focused on closing the achievement gap and looking at state data. So it was very interesting. What I took away primarily was that we're not alone in some of the challenges that we're facing. They covered the evolution of funding models and really focused in on wanting to avoid distractions. So they're working towards launching a campaign for a focused, coherent statewide plan to address the achievement gap. And so I'm excited by their work and also our opportunity to serve as advocates for public schools. I attended EDS's walkathon. That was amazing. Huge turnout. I know that the location for where you did the walking had changed. And so in talking with a couple of the volunteers, it's like, you never know, right? Until you roll it out, what's going to happen. But it was a huge success, I thought. Kids were very excited, very fast around. I was like, some of them are very motivated, very motivated. So big shout out to your parent volunteers and to your team. I saw a lot of staff members there. I actually ran into Jeanette as a mom. And so the other piece that I was most impressed by or took me by surprise was that they've transitioned to using a QR code. And I know that it creates probably its own challenges, but Jeanette, bless her heart, allowed me to look at her cell phone to see like, what does it look like? And it was incredibly impressive. The data that you're getting off of these kiddos, right? That they could tell in real time how many laps they had done. Well, it's a big motivator. Yeah. It's a very big deal. And so thank you for all of your hard work. I know it's an ever-changing thing. And so I appreciate the flexibility and the support of the students. And lastly, I was at Baker this morning. I too really loved the work that Beautiful Day has done in their garden. We got an opportunity to see Starting Arts in action, a little improv, work the kids did. So fun and so great and so grateful that we continue to stay connected to the arts. And that is it for me. All right. MCSCA is not here.
I don't think we have them here.
Okay. And so we'll go right into our reports and action items. Country Lanes SIPSA. Hi.
I know.
It's a little cold over here. Maniacal.
Thank you for having us tonight. We feel like we've been spending a lot of time in the civil space looking at Richardson 2 years ago, writing last year, writing this year. So I'm very happy to see 2023-24. We are hoping going for a 5-point game for 25-26. Kind of looking at our standards of almost meeting standards, that 12.7. So if even half of those kids move into that green or blue, we can get there. In 2022-23, we did reach 77%. So ambitious but doable goal.
Okay, do you want me to ask questions as we go along or wait till we?
You can do whatever you want.
No. Here.
What is your preference?
However it works for you.
The clarification that I wanted on the previous slide is the goal for 24-25 was 82, right? Was it 82 or do you remember?
It was aggressive.
It was good. Okay.
70.
70. Okay. Nonetheless,
So we moved up, but we did not reach our goal.
Congratulations though for moving it on up. Yeah, that is actually very impressive because what I wanted to do, the same thing that I've been kind of saying for the other SIPSs as well, is I'd rather have realistic goals that everybody feels excited and motivated to achieve them than have these extremely aggressive goals that we'd like to achieve, but then when we don't, we kind of feel,
Yeah, I feel like since in 10 years, I think, like, we ranged from that mid-70.
Yeah.
We did get up to 82.
yeah,
Except for 23, 24, where we were
which was,
mid to high 70s
Yeah.
seems to be where we land.
Perfect. awesome, thank you.
Really happy we're going with the 7% increase, hoping for that this year. I'm really pleased with our Hispanic and our EL growth, particularly our EL growth, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. I mean, it's almost double digit, so we've got a double our scores there. So I was very pleased to see that with our subgroups.
Just before you do move on, you should be. That's incredibly impressive.
It is, especially given how, particularly in Country Lane, the demographics have changed. So I think, you guys, what you did there.
Yeah, later on, no, but I think we're second highest in the district.
Yeah.
In terms of numbers of videos, which is
Yeah.
a different.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so this is my second one.
So there are several things that we are doing and we continue. Can we move on? So what we discontinued was we started, last year we were able to hire a second intervention teacher to support our ELA. And what we did in the beginning was we had to focus for the first 2 months or so on our newcomer ELs. We tried that up through November, December, and realized actually we didn't like how that was working and pulling them separate. So we changed that in January and we had her be an extra room during flex. So there are 3 teachers in flex instead of have 3 rooms of flex, there are 4 rooms of flex. We had that with the other intervention teacher, she also pushed into those lowest flex groups. So that was a shift that we made, but that's what we discontinued. Also the intervention teacher, but I was able to hire an aide in place. So those are the 2 things we discontinued from last year. We continue with our flex groups, aligning instruction K through 5. We're continuing with the JAN and the small group reading. This year, we're obviously still doing our IW diagnostics. We did add 1st and 2nd grade reading. Usually it's 3rd through 5th reading and then 1 through 5 in that. And we decided that really looking at that typical growth and stretch growth, we really wanted to have a benchmark number in addition to F&P for our 1st and 2nd graders. So they did take the diagnostic in August, September, they'll take it again in January, take it again in May. Our older kids take it in August, take it in November, and take it in January, February, and then of course the cast. In addition to, we're continuing on with our reading focus and building that reading stamina. You'll see that during flex time and the stations, independent stations, but also in addition to times. Things that we introduced new this year. So because I was able to hire another intervention aide, that's to Chris's help, friendship members, I appreciate that. We are able to have, in addition to the teachers, we're able to have 2 or 3 intervention staff in the room supporting examples. So, for example, in kindergarten, I have 2 teachers, and I have an intervention teacher and an intervention staff, classified staff in there to support during flex. 1st and 2nd grade this year are combined. We combine them because we have a 1-2 combo. So I have those 5 teachers, an intervention teacher, 2 intervention classified. So just there's the ability to do small groups and more targeted instruction. Hagerty and UFly are the new things that we're adding. And service has been really great in helping us get up to speed and understand how does UFly work, Hagerty. We're deciding to also do U-Fly in third grade this year because they've never had it before.
Mhm.
So, we just saw a really great lesson today, U-Fly from the teachers, it's kind of an early adopter. The materials are starting to come in, but they're just getting comfortable with learning this. And I feel like now that we have this robust literacy program, we've got guided reading, we've got the phonics dialed in, and then the writing, I think we are in a good space to like sit and let teachers just work with this and make it better. So I feel pleased with what I'm seeing. We've also tried something called Morphine Magic in grades 3 through 5. Third grade's gonna start a little later in the year, given this is the first year. But it's that morphology, prefixes, suffixes, root words. I read something like the prefix miss can make like over 1,200 words. So it's shocking to me. So anyway, the upper grade's gonna kind of work on that while the primary is working on the pre-flow. The writing units are going really well. They're pretty deep into the narrative unit right now, getting ready to start informational. I think that's my favorite thing to observe. So I really love watching kids write about what they care about, what they're curious about. And it's been really fun to see the teachers dig in and try these lessons. You know, they're sometimes they're jumping in the deep end and they're going for it. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Third grade is always kind of our adventurous grade, and they have tried, trying, in addition to flex for reading, they're also flexing for writing. So they're doing like a double block, so they keep them, so we will see how that turns out. And then we are making sure to provide that. Strike. That's ELA in a nutshell.
No. I guess, is the morphine magic site-wide or is it specific to Country Lane?
Specific to us, we thought we were trying something, I sort of felt like. So I'm sort of into fairness and I kind of thought, well, I know teachers have to do. Why, what are upper grade teachers doing? So we looked into that and one of our primary first grade teachers, she's done a lot of work about doing mom and he talked to us about.
Very interesting, yeah.
But
Very interesting. I'd love to hear, how effective you're finding this, because based on what you said, it sounds amazing.
As we can see, we were doing a lot with ELA this year. So for math, we did drop 1% last year. One of the things we have discussed site-wide and district-wide too is that we're just seeing a lot of foundational goals with math. So we are really excited about the math pilots that are going on this year. I'll also talk a little bit about how we're kind of addressing the foundational goals that we are seeing. But our goal for next year is to go up to 75%. Again, as Carrie said, we really want to highlight that our Hispanic and EL both went up, which was really great. We're really proud of all of the work that those kids have done and our staff have done. SED was pretty close, really working on our sped this year. And then our key actions, like Carrie said, third grade is our adventurous group. They wanted to try flexing for math this year, so we gave them another block in the day where they were flexing. They did it for a couple weeks with some support, but they realized that those kiddos were out of their classroom almost half the day. They really didn't like that, so they backed off from that and are going back to their normal math rotation. But love that they tried something new. Ongoing, we're doing the same as we've done in the past, where all 1st through 5th grade classes have an intervention aid for a 50-minute block every 4 days a week for math. They're working together to pull small groups, do some foundational things. Some of our aides are doing 3rd grade, again, adventurous, likes to do double lessons, especially as Cass gets near, so that they get more of the eureka before. We're doing iReady personalized learning. And then introducing this year, so like I said, our foundational skills are definitely lacking in some of our grades, especially we're noticing 2nd grade and up. So we are having in the afternoon, 2 times a week, second and third graders are pulled to work on number sense, place value, addition and subtraction. And then for fourth and fifth, we really want to give them the extra support before middle school. So they're getting that 4 times a week. We think we're gonna do about 6 to 8 week rotations and then exit them out and then start a new group. We also were able to get all of our math blocks before lunch, which is great. And then we're very excited that we have 4 teachers on the math this year. They all volunteered. They're really excited about it.
I think when we look at our numbers, we definitely see less growth in fifth grade math. I'm saying the same thing always in fifth grade. So I agree, it's a little abstract, you know, you look at fourth grade math and you look at reading math and looking at, when you look at longitudinally, how much they've grown from, say, August to September. Fifth grade tends to have less growth. So that's why we look for fifth grade for more times.
And how does that, for fourth and fifth grade, when you say implement the foundational math skills, how does that look in a classroom? Practically speaking, is it extra time?
It is extra time, so luckily we've been able to have all our math, core math blocks where the intervention, like aid pushes in is before lunch. So after lunch, it's almost like a double dose, so certain
Okay.
kids are pulled down and they're working with our staff. Number sense, place value, multiplication, division, you know, some of those key foundational skills that make it really hard to do some of the more advanced math and, you know,
Okay.
computation.
Yeah.
So happy to see the rigorous expectations that went outside of this, please come back. We have 3 goals for next year. That first one is, so the numbers in blue are what our goal is, and the numbers in parentheses are what the score was for those questions. So that whole idea of perseverance and grit and trying something new, would love to see that's in the school learning strategies category. That question, we're looking for a 10% increase in that. This was a big one, and it's asked 2 different ways and in 2 different categories. The first one, or the middle one there, was how often do they see other people being respectful or disrespectful? So it doesn't involve them, it's what they think. It's only 33%, so that favor. So I would like to see that one. The other one similarly is 61% responded favorably to the substitute treatment. And so that I like to also see. We spent a lot of time initially and continue to be at recess, like Kevin, you said, such a critical part of the day and how you are treating each other, how are you interacting when it's a more structured environment. So we're doing a lot of things to look at how can we provide more opportunities for them. So I'm jumping ahead to my actions, but you know, to make that a safer space, because I think if you ask those same questions in the classroom, those numbers will be a lot. So I think it's feeling like on the playground, maybe PE is.
Just setting numbers aside for a second.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked that as an engineer, I would say that. Let's set aside for just a second. How are you, what's your POV? Like anecdotally, are you seeing this, the disrespect for, or rather that lack of respect? How are you viewing that, or is that just something that's weird that came out in the survey? Like, are you seeing it on interactions?
I think our kids are in a little bit of a crisis now. I'm not just talking about more than the kids, but I think the amount of tech that they're exposed to, I mean, coming off of the COVID and everything like that, they don't know how to treat each other. Just, and you know, you on a quick glance, you might think, oh, you're just being mean, or you're just being, I just really don't think they know.
Yeah.
In a way that probably everyone in this room
Right.
remembers and knows, and a lot of it has to do with quote the anxious generation a lot, because I've been listening to that on my way over in the mornings. But, you know, there was something to go out and play and come back in 2 hours and maybe you come back with a bloody knee or something, but there's a lot of learning that happens in navigating when you have a little more freedom.
Right.
I also understand why parents these days might not want to give that freedom, yet they've given it a lot of freedom to the screens and things like that. So I think there needs to be a lot more focus and effort.
Yeah.
On our end, we've even talked about like, should we not be sending the Chromebooks home for kids?
Yeah,
You know,
I've heard that from,
not that we want to parent, but like
Yeah.
just to help the bigger problem. So I do think that they don't know how to be together. They're wonderfully separate, but they don't know how to interact.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
thank you. I just wanted to kind of get the story behind the numbers, if you will.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's been a steady
Mhm.
decrease in.
This is for data, you can see went up with feedback and coaching, we're very excited about school climate. Areas that we would like to work on next or this year, is just talking about attitudes of colleagues. So Carrie and I have been really talking about ways to do team building with staff. They love potlucks, food is always a hit. And also just the time to spend together, because it is really hard after school to get together and do things. So just finding ways to do team building during the day, at staff meetings, really focusing on that, at data collaboration days. So that's one goal. The next one, honestly, this was pretty low, 36%, said that rules, being in place. Carrie and I reflected on that a lot. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why last year was a little bit tough. It was alone quite a bit of last year. So we've really been talking about how to fix that this year. So again, I'll talk about some of the PBIS things later, but we're really going back to basics with PBIS and really just enforcing the rules, making sure our new duties are on the same track as our teachers, as us, because we all are out there with the kids. And if someone has different expectations than us, the kids get confused and a little bit. So we're working on that, having recess, yard duty meetings, things like that. Carrie and I have been doing a lot of open communication and really just letting teachers know these are the behaviors we're seeing, letting them know even just the minor things that we're seeing, moving them in whenever we contact any parent. Because if we're seeing something little, it's like they're seeing several little things in the classroom. So just trying to be as transparent with our, behaviors and consequences. And also just leaving classrooms and visible as possible, recess lines,
Having the behavior checks, the CBA, most of the time, parents have been super helpful. Just in the sessions that we had for school and we had in October around behavior supports and trauma and different things. I think, people get into this profession to make a difference. And so they try, some of our teachers have a lot of tools in their tool belt. And I think run up sometimes against like, these tools aren't working, these tools aren't working. And so I think collectively spending more time on that as a district, how do we support those bigger behaviors that maybe XYZ doesn't work. And I think helping us not feel like failures, but giving the solutions. For families. Family. Is. So we've added, we're helping with our school climate score of 83. The main thing, the scores overall, kind of look at that like 70, when I look at the individual questions, things that are below 70, I kind of target and look at. And so this one was particularly low. Only 41% of our families felt confident in their ability to connect with other people.
Mm.
And so then what was the thing we used before? Howard? What was the name of that?
No. It was just.
There was one where the parents could.
What's your name? Use that one.
The parents could communicate with each other. So like, you're on the class list, but I could call Ryan or I could text and set up a play date of what was the homework? And so Parent Square doesn't have that access. So we brought Constella in, the Homewood School Club is paying for that, so parents can do that. They also set up, Homewood School Club, in the beginning of the year, we did grade level birthdays. So they went and just bring your food, bring bring a snack, bring your kids, you chit chat, they've got no name tags, so we're just trying to find ways to get parents to connect. They're continuing with the park days, all levels come. We're just, that's a goal of ours, is just to get that, so they feel, they're feeling more connected with each other, they feel to us. And then we're also hoping just to get our participation certificates up.
And how's the level of parent participation in classrooms? Like, there's always volunteer
The ones that
opportunity.
come in like weekly or.
Yeah,
monthly,
yeah. Pretty good.
Much lower than in past.
Yeah.
Most families are dual income.
Yeah.
and Don't have time to come.
Yeah.
Spend, but, lots of parents on field trips.
Okay.
We've struggled to get board members the past few years, but we seem to figure it out in the end. This year, we've got, a lot more of the parents that are getting involved are younger aged kids, which is great. Sometimes they're like, oh, I'll jump into it in 4th grade, and then it's like, oh, that's you for 2 years, and then you leave, and so there's years and firsts, and so
That's good.
I'm feeling good. We're starting to move that. Okay, so our Colts Council is like our student leadership club. Our council runs that, with a focus definitely on service, community service. Also they do spirit days and things like that as well. This year she had 30 applicants, which is great. So it's growing every year. It's for 4th and 5th graders. Janelle will talk about one of the new things they're doing this year with that group. We're continuing on our track pack, which is our weekly Thursday, get out and run, QR codes, scan the laps.
So fancy.
For every mile. And so I have kids that literally, because they bring them from the years past.
Oh.
But our top runners probably, kind of slow down in the job, obviously, but they're probably running about 40 miles over the course of the year.
It's every Thursday.
Every Thursday was about a half hour. We've got the reading team, which is our, clean up the campus beautification, that student run, and the fun zone, oh, look at there. These are our fun zone creators, so every Tuesday. This is coming out, with a group of people, hopefully sometimes, and they've got things that you normally would be on the playground. Huge Connect 4, chess, checkers, kinetic sand. Lots of arts and crafts and different things. They come out every Tuesday. It's just Legos, that's in everything. And then they also come out for our Lego. Continuing that. Janelle continues to work on truancy, at-risk behaviors. They set up now that we have the BCA and the behavior tech. Meetings, regular support meetings, just like, let's just check in on some of the kids we're worried about, some of the families that maybe are having truancy issues, just to check in regularly. And we continue our monthly roundup assemblies with brown tags. And we've increased our focus on that PD, I guess, and what it means to be real here.
Okay, new this year, as I said earlier, we're still there. As I said, we're doing, kind of revamping PBS, going back to the beginning, but also adding in something new. We do the brag tags every year, but we feel like some of the kids might be getting a little like, gotten brag tag every year. So we opened a Trillium Colt store that we have once a month. It went better than I expected, actually. I was really worried. So kids get to come with their brag tags, and it basically counts as money, and they can come in and they can earn different prizes. So some of the kids are saving them up, and we have to design a T-shirt that they would like to earn at the end of the year, or water bottles, so that actually was really fun. We're having classified staff meetings this year, not quite once a month, but throughout the year. Carrie already talked about the park days that were a huge success at the beginning. She told you about Stella as well. We are gonna try language ambassadors for families new to Country Lane. We do have such an influx of newcomers, and the families don't really understand how school works. So we've talked to several families that would like to come and help us translate. So we're basically going to combine Home and School Club with ELAC and have these people come. I think how Tracy runs her DLAC meetings, where all of our families that speak Russian sit at this table, all of our families that speak Mandarin are at this table, and there's someone translating for each one. So we're hopeful that that will really just teach how school works in the United States, because we've learned that it is so drastically different. And we want them to feel like you're a part of our community, because as Carrie said earlier, the families do feel a little bit disconnected. Our new school garden, we love it, it's beautiful, come check it out. We are doing upper grade mentors at recess. Right now, it's soccer coaches, because our K2 population really just loves to run around and come back into each other during soccer. So we have some of the fifth grade students that go out and are actually coaching and teaching them how to play. It's been really fun. And then the last thing is we are doing kindness ambassadors this year, which is with our Miss Apple, fabulous counselor. She is taking about 3 to 4 students into our K2 classes, and she is doing character strong bullying lessons. The students are really kind of running it, but there are 3 bullying lessons for K2. So she is teaching those lessons to the kids, teaches them what to do if you're being bullied, and also how to be an upstander, because that's really what we find students struggle with. And then we also have newsletters that go home to parents as well.
Last but not least, just really highlighting, how we're doing with our female population, and I'm just kind of as well, but our numbers continue to increase in the number of RFEPs. We classified students with grade 24 to 25. And we talked about the CAS scores, particularly the ELA score, that we are. Oh, it says subgroup. There's a typo, sorry about that. And then 41.9% of our kiddos have progressed at least one level. Adult 2 or 2 to 3. And then our gardening, just to give you a little bit more information about that. That's been in the works for over a year now. We were able to get a CTA impact grant that started it off. And then EDF gave us some money for the shed. Then we got another grant from Sprouts that's current that we're working with. Plus we had 3 different Country Lane alum who wanted to get their Eagle Scout badges. So one of them made 8 raised beds, and then another one did like a kiosk that you open up and there's a whiteboard so the teachers can teach, or the jobs in the garden are there. And then the 3rd one did like a county lunch. So it's just been really fun. Had our official ribbon cutting this fall. We're hoping to get kind of modeling it a little bit after Latimer's, and that they have we don't yet have someone coming in at lunch, but one of the teachers who's running this is out there 1 day a week at recess time, so the kids can come in, and then teachers are going. We thought we'd ease the teachers into it slowly, so I bought them all garden gloves, so we bought a bunch of books about the garden, so they can just even go out and be in the garden. You don't necessarily have to do anything. And then the one I ask is, could you come out once a month and just model? Kind of like it's called an OIA system, but there still needs to be some hand. So that they're just out there and they feel that. We also have Westgate Church and CCIS, the beautiful place for us in January. Where they built the whole back of the garden, they built a great sensory path and sensory different kind of groups. So that was like in 3 hours with 50 people, and we transformed this whole path. So highlights the Country Lane.
So is the garden used by any classes right now for class time also?
Yeah,
Very
it can be used by any class that wants to.
Okay,
And some are using it more than others,
that's awesome.
but everyone's at least one of them. And then for those kiddos that maybe the teacher's not quite ready to launch into going, it'll be open, it's open assessment.
That is awesome.
We've got this Leafa plant, which it looks, I don't know, you think of Leafa, it looks like a really sort of hairy cucumber. You peel it off, and it's the Leafa,
Oh, wow.
and it's fascinating. Come check it out.
Absolutely.
Thanks, that's it for Country Day.
All right.
Thank you.
Questions? Ryan, did you have any?
Well, thank you for the hard work. I know putting this together is a task, and I'm excited to see continued growth. Did we do your site visit yet?
Yes, we did.
Right, sure, okay. Oh, they had done the site visit.
So yes, thank you. Obviously, this is a tremendous amount of work. I'm noticing a trend in all of the SIPSAs that the list of things we're not doing anymore is much shorter than the things we're continuing and adding. And so obviously that's something we're sensitive to. It's tremendous work being done everywhere. But I really appreciated hearing you say how you're trying things and very quickly reassessing if it's just not working. And I think that is so, so important. So I really want to applaud that. It's sometimes hard to do when you roll something new out and realize maybe it needs to look a little different or not do it at all. And so that's perfectly appropriate and really wonderful that you're willing to do that. I did read in your SIPSA about revamping the PBIS, and I was like, revamping, tell me more. Is it you're taking a step back and kind of going back to the basics? Can you expand a little bit more?
What we felt, I think out of the frustration maybe around the behaviors, these tools that we've used are not working anymore. And then we really needed to ask ourselves, how consistent are we being, particularly on the playground? And I got to the point where, you know, the concept of catching them doing the right thing and even working with the ticket, the Colts can, we call them, and teachers weren't really doing that very often. So we said, you know what, commit to doing it at recess. You're all out there at least twice a week at recess time. Hand them out if they're walking on the blacktop. So like that consistency from staff, like, hey, we see you, thank you so much. Of course, the store sort of ramped it up for them of like, oh, this actually means something more than, you know, when you're in fifth grade and you get a brag tag on the backpack. Maybe not as exciting as in kinder or first, but the store's been excited to see you do that once a month. But it's just more about talking about how we as a staff can be really consistent in what are the behaviors we want them to show shopping.
And then celebrating them.
So
Recess rock stars.
Recess rock stars.
This year, and so we're honoring 6 kids a month just for, like they said, being on trash, being in the food.
Amazing. It's so cool. The other piece I hoped there would be an opportunity to kind of expand on is, and I'm touching all of the schools with this question, is chronic absenteeism. What are you seeing and what are you working on? I know you mentioned. Yep.
But I will say that meeting with Lisa, especially this year and last year, has been helpful in terms of like being like, we've done some home visits and things like that, which, you know, she'll come out and do it with her counselor.
Yes, meeting with Lisa was wonderful. The spreadsheets that she would update every month was so helpful because it would pinpoint all the kids that are of concern, show us how we're tracking, you know, the spikes during certain times of the year. We would reach out to families. Our counselor now comes to any of our truancy or chronic absenteeism meetings. We We've done several at-home visits. We do, kind of to make it a little more fun, we do Attendance Awareness Week. It's actually next week, where every day is a spirit day. We go out in the morning and play music and give stickers to kids that are on time. We're handing out to all of you because you made copies for us, so we're sending all the flyers home, being posters up. But I think really the biggest thing is just meeting with the families.
Mhm.
And I found over the years that those are the families that don't tend to show up to the meetings. So making a phone call, sending an email goes a long way.
Mhm.
And I also have noticed, you guys have noticed this too, but in TK the last 2 years, I find that families are like, oh, it's preschool. And so they go on trips or they're always tardy. But once you have that first meeting with them, they really, it resonates with them like, oh, this is so important. And oh, if they're late in the morning, this is what they're missing.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what we've been focusing on, but I really have to give it to Lisa. That's been really helpful and having our kids involved. So.
Well, and Janelle's really, I mean, our truancy rate has decreased,
Mhm.
and so Janelle kind of revamped it. That's maybe, but, polishing that, we're putting systems in place.
Yeah, it's,
Everyone has their unique story too, about that.
yeah.
So just listening to them and doing an alarm clock.
Mhm.
Not often, but maybe even on a car could pick up kids. If it's gonna make it. So one little guy got into extended days. Because mom has to drop them off around 7:40.
Mm.
We have a lot more kids on the bus, and so we opened up before school, if it's not an extended day, just like the bus gets there at 7:55, and it's a half hour before school starts. It's like too long for them to hang out.
Mhm. That's amazing. Obviously, some of it is within the student's control. A lot of it isn't, right? And we recognize that. And so that takes a tremendous amount of work and attention to detail. And I think that's wonderful that you're focused on it. We need them to show up. Right? All right. Did you want to chime in,
Yes,
please?
I want to celebrate and congratulate the gains that you've made with your Hispanic students and your EL populations. Those are significant gains. And so I hope we just keep going with that, because at this rate, we would close the gap, which would be very exciting. I was able to see UFly in action this morning when I was at Country Lane. So UFly is how we build phonemic awareness and phonics, those foundational literacy skills in our youngest learners. It was one of the best examples of a UFly lesson that I've seen, packed into what a 20-minute lesson was. Just everything was there, from encoding to decoding to phonemic awareness to changing words out and changing words in. And I just was really impressed, and I'm excited to see teachers, getting into that and using those materials. And then lastly, I'll just say, I want to thank the Country Lane teachers for really stepping up into these district level committees. So we have, would you say 4 on the math adoption committee? I think there's 4 or 4 on the writing team. And they're not all the same people. And so Country Lane teachers are stepping up into these leadership spaces to help our district. And I just want to commend them for doing that, because that takes a lot of extra effort, whether it's sub plans or extra time or all of that. So I want to give your teachers a shout out for being part of that. Yeah.
All right. Anything else? All right. This is an action item.
Thank you. So it is recommended that the board of trustees of Country Lane 5.6 plan for significant.
All right. I have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve Country Lane's 2025-26 SIPSA.
And I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know.
I'm so sorry.
No, you've got to be a mom.
Get better.
On to EDX. Woo-hoo.
We have experienced this year some growing not pains, adjustments. As we've gone down, and we have about the same number of students consistently. This year we had that, so pretty consistently. But we have shifted where we have a smaller number of little ones. And this year we have 4 full fourth grades, 4 full fifth grades, and our middle school classes are packed to beyond the top, like overflowing the top.
Was it a bubble that went through or just a unique?
It might be a district bubble, yeah, I don't know,
Okay.
it just is happening. So anyway, it's a little bit of a shift, just because the campus changes a little bit when you have a lot more big kids than you have little kids. And we welcomed, because we opened that other fourth grade, we welcomed a big chunk of students from other schools, which was great, but it's caused just a little bit of a shift, that's all. So not a growing community at all, just kind of an adjustment. And our data, as you can see, you're gonna see in both areas is pretty, you could call it stable or stagnant, whatever you would like to call it. But we'll just call it stable. But we continue to have a giant chunk of kids that are exceeding standards and, and then some meeting. And then a bigger chunk that we would like that are not. And it looks the same in the ELA now. We do have a big goal this year. We have a 6% plan for growing, and that is because we went down a point and we need to get it back up there. And we believe that we'll do that. When I show you the subject, I'll tell you a little bit about that. But one of the things that has been really great over the last few years is that we have been working with kind of like what Carrie said, it's hard to go second. So but through like all the guided reading work, all of the writing work that we're doing now, and all of the and this stuff with the foundational skills, everything is becoming much more consistent, I believe, and fitting together very well, which I'll talk about a little bit. But I think as we get everything consistent, we're going to make that. So that's why I'm not comfortable or wonderful. All right, our subgroups are, and Clover and I have talked about this and multiple times, are all over the place. They, year to year, the contents of them, meaning like the kids that are in those subgroups, change over time because we'll get an influx of, we're just so diverse. We're at 39 languages this year, which is down from 40 schools, so consolidating. But our subgroups are all over the place. And so they bounce all over the place depending on who is in those subgroups. And as you guys probably know, as students become, for instance, our EL subject, as students become proficient in EL, which are kids that are being designated, that number is going up every year. Then they move out of that group, and so then you're dealing with a different group. And sometimes we have newcomers coming into that group, or older kids or younger kids. So it's when you look at the kids, those groups, the composition of those groups is changing all the time. So it's kind of a moving target. That's all I'm saying. And so what we just have to do is monitor very carefully and really just drill down to the kids all the time and see like, who are those kids that are not doing as well as we'd like them to, what can we do in order to help them? So.
Is the, I mean, especially looking at the EL numbers, is the, given that your site is K through 8
Yes.
site, right? Is the barrier, or not maybe the barrier, but the threshold for EL, does it get harder as the grades go up? Like it's harder to be an EL?
Yes, in two ways, So as when kids come in little and they're learning English, they generally pick up English pretty
Faster.
quickly, right?
Okay.
When they're younger. And then you do have some kiddos that get stuck. So you're really looking at that and trying to figure out who are those kids that got stuck and why is that happening and what can we do for them. In addition, some of the reasons that there's big change in subgroups, the composition of them, is when you get older kids, middle school kids, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, coming with no English.
Yeah.
They,
It's a very different channel.
And then it's a very different thing.
Yeah.
Right,
Exactly.
they're often fluent in their home language, not always.
Right.
So sometimes you're dealing with building their language, period.
Yeah.
You know, just building language and then adding English onto that. But a lot of times you're dealing with a fluent, home language speaker that now is having to learn English within the
Yeah.
content of middle school, which is obviously.
It's very tough.
Yeah.
So much tougher for a seventh grader than for like
Yeah.
a kindergartner or somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you look at these numbers, you know, it's just the whole school numbers, right? It's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
K-8.
Yeah.
So depending on where those kiddos are falling, they look different.
That's what I
That's why
suspected.
it's a moving target.
Yeah, that's what I kind of suspected as well. It's tougher. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I read that, you have kids who, I think all of our sites probably do, that have no exposure to English at all, right? And so that's even more challenging because not only do they not have the language, but they've had no exposure.
Yeah.
And so that, I just noted that.
Yeah, and then we have, in the same class, we have kids that speak 3 languages.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
like, so it's super interesting. Yeah. I know that you, Sharon, we were talking about language want realistic goals, and so, when we look at goals for my EL kids, that's a big jump that I am looking for, and, but it's not, just a guess. So, we are able to look at benchmark scores, in iReady, and there's a great feature of iReady that shows, if kids are making progress past typical growth.
Mhm.
So we were able to go into last year's typical growth, and there's also something called the stretch growth, but the typical growth makes no sense. And many of our ELs are hitting between 150 and 200% typical growth.
Mhm.
So they don't show up as that standard yet,
Right.
but they are catching up.
Okay.
And so I think especially for our kids who are coming in who don't speak English at all, with the second year, when they're making that kind of, you know, up around 175, almost 200, over typical growth, 200% typical growth,
Right.
we know that they are zooming.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so, when we look at kid by kid, I think.
And the data that you just said, the over 100% or 200%
Mhm.
to standard, is that based on this year's progress, so from August to October?
No, so that is
Including-
looking at this set of kids last year.
Oh, okay.
And the.
A cohort to
growth
cohort
that
comparison.
they made last year, so the
Okay.
rate that they are growing.
Okay.
So August, yeah, May.
August to May,
So then
okay.
when we get to this August, we can say like, okay, if they keep growing at that level.
Got it. Okay. They're able to catch up. Okay. And not generally about this, but more a generic question, I guess, is do we have any trajectory or directional data in the first few months of this school year, or is it very too early to
We have
say?
a baseline,
Baseline,
that we
okay.
take at the very beginning of the year, so
Okay.
let's do see the growth in it. But
Yeah.
the next one that they take is like December.
Okay.
And so, for November, so then we'll be able to see like, oh, are they
Makes sense.
still on that trajectory or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's hard sometimes when you're just looking at aspect scores because that's just a one-time
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And you just need to monitor obviously a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so, we are in a year of refinement, I think, yes, that's what we're gonna say. We have a lot of ongoing programs that are super strong, and working very well. So there's not a lot of pieces that necessarily we're changing, but we are in that mode of refining things and making things consistent across grade levels. One thing that you can probably imagine with a TK8 is the vertical alignment of things is super different. Would we like it to be perfect, TK is gonna be exactly, and then the next thing is exactly kindergarten, and then, we're using the same thing throughout. Yes, but it's a big place, so it's difficult to do. I'm kind of all over this slide, but I'll just tell you, one of the things with the writing program that we've been working on, it's been a really good opportunity. Because the continuum is K8 and the lessons that they worked on are all the way through, that we are starting to have now those vertical conversations, you know, what is writing look like in kindergarten, and then what builds in first grade, and what builds in second grade. Because you can sometimes walk into an older grade classroom, a sixth grade classroom, and see them doing the same thing that you could also just see what was just happening in fourth grade. Right, and so we need to start having those vertical conversations about what is different, what should be different. Yes, you're writing a 5-paragraph essay, but in 8th grade, that should be 6th grade, even though the standards look the same, you just read them. So what does that look like? And the writing program, because it is a K-8, has allowed us to start having those conversations like really scattered. Because we can apply it to like, well, we're all doing writing, this is what it looks like. So we're just getting started with that, but we're looking to those conversations, and then hopefully those will you know, change over, we'll start to bleed into other areas too, as far as getting things vertically organized.
I appreciate you sharing that. So I would think it would be easier on it, just sitting back, it would be easier on a K-8 because you're all on the same campus, right? Versus trying to do a 5-8 or a 5-6
Yes.
lead.
You would do that.
Right. So no, I appreciate.
After a little while, I say,
Yes.
I would also think that. But it's trickier than you think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. No, that's why I appreciate you calling it out.
Yeah, we're always working on it, for sure.
Yeah.
Reality doesn't work like theory.
Right. The discontinued stuff for us this year have been adjustments really. We did have to reduce the number of intervention staff that we had. And to be fair, most of my intervention money is dumped into people. It has been for a very long time. And so when that money went down a little bit, it meant that we were short a few people. So we just had to be creative. And one of the things that we did do was eliminate Avid to get some money back to help with intervention. And the reason that we did that is because our Avid class was not, we didn't have the right population to really do Avid like it's supposed to be done. It was a great class. They were doing all kinds of really cool stuff. But the kids that were in that class didn't need Avid per se. They were getting it in other classes, or they didn't really need it. So we have been able to take that money and put it into intervention instead, especially for school. So that's been ongoing. We again have a really strong K-3 intervention program that's both pull in and push into classrooms and mostly push in 4th and 5th. But we are using our Spanish teacher now to do some designated EL with our Spanish speaking kiddos, which has been really cool. She started doing it last year, so she's got groups that she pulls out, and for those brand new kids. Why it's been helpful also is because some of those kids come in really with no Spanish either. They don't have solid Spanish. So to have somebody who is bilingual, that's good. That and this person right here, saving us.
So,
Go ahead.
I'm curious about that. Can you just double click on it for just a second? So when you say that what is their primary language at
Their
home?
primary language is Spanish, but they're also often coming with very limited Spanish skills. They don't read in Spanish or write in Spanish.
Got it.
Like their
Okay.
literacy skills.
Literacy.
Pandemic,
So
a lot of the kids coming from there maybe did a little preschool, but with the pandemic stopped going to school and never went back.
right, yeah, okay. So it's
They
not,
have that English foundation to start building English on.
got it,
So they're kind of building Spanish and English.
simultaneously, okay. So it's not verbally they can communicate in Spanish quite effectively, it's just the literacy part of Spanish also, the foundation. That helps.
And I'm talking about mostly older kids.
Yeah,
Right, fourth and up, where.
And for those kids, the challenge is magnified, right? Yeah, because they have a lot to catch up.
So in our middle school program, we have really worked to have some electives that are double doses of language arts, either focused on developing English as a second language or just intervention. So just getting kids up to speed with reading. We have an excellent teacher who does that. one of the most talented reading intervention teachers we would ever meet, and she's made great growth. If you look at that EL growth, looking at the kids that are making more than typical growth, if you look at the kids that have had her, that's who it is. So that program has been very effective. It's for sure dependent on who that person is, but hopefully if she's not doing it, can we be able to replicate?
And you guys are still using the devices that are they still helpful?
When we need them, yeah, sometimes they're helpful when a child just like cannot explain to you what they need.
Right.
But also we're taking care to make sure we're giving kids lots of time to practice using English and
Got
talking.
Okay.
So, but we do use them. So we've got an EL support elective, like I said, in middle school, as well as a reading intervention support. We've got aides that are pushing into classrooms to help. Our newcomers are getting a double dose of EL from our Spanish teacher and then the aides that we've hired. And then we've just been really intentional about purchasing materials and online resources for these kiddos. So just again, the money is tight, so you have to just be very intentional about like what is this going to serve? How is this going to fit? And then newly introduced, again, really full site focus on writing through the district PD. You'd be surprised, it's difficult. I always hear elementary schools say like, oh, we have a full focus on this year. Well, in a school of our size and the breadth between TK and 8, that's kind of hard to do. You could do like an elementary focus, sometimes you could do like middle school focus, but the writing has just really provided us a great chance to really just have a middle school focus, which I'm gonna say maybe is the first. So it's fun. We're really focusing on explicit instruction in language arts, getting the foundational skills that was happening, but now it's a lot more consistent. So you can go to every classroom seeing the same thing, which is great. We've got reading comprehension, all of those areas that we've been working on for the last few years, and now we have time to just kind of sit with it, like Carrie was saying, and refine it. So that's what I'm saying, it's a big year. And I am loving the foundational stuff that's going on in K and 1. My heart is there, as you guys know, and the stuff that is going on with phonological awareness is going to be great. I think our first shot in the arm, remember we were talking about what is going on, why are our kids doing so well in kindergarten, we were like TK. It's TK, and this is going to be this.
Yeah, this foundational literacy, I know, I'm excited.
Yeah. All right, switching to math. So similar to what Janelle mentioned, our district as a whole is really focusing on ELA, which is fantastic. I do feel like math is kind of starting to sneak in a little bit with piloting the new curriculum this year. I know our middle school math teachers have been working together over the last year or two in a cohort on developing math language and progressing our students further. So I feel like this is kind of like the next step now that we've got a pretty strong foundation going with ELA. So these are our scores for math. We are, continuing to make slow progress from 70 to 72%. We also have kind of a lofty goal of making it 79%, but in the next slide, I'll kind of go into it more, but it connects back to what Sherry was saying about how the target of our students is kind of shifting. So we're pretty confident that we'll be able to make that bigger jump. If you don't mind going to the next slide, as you can see with our subgroup data, our EL did go down slightly from 29 to 27%. And our goal for them is actually to make it up to 50% for Hispanics, but 40% for EL. So that's almost double, a little under, for the EL specifically. And again, the reason we feel like that we can potentially achieve this goal is because when you look at the I-ready projected growth report, that Sherry had mentioned for ELA, there's also a version for math. And when you get down and look at who those students are and the fact that a lot of them did come in with no language or very minimal English language and are already making 100%, if not more than 100% towards their typical growth,
within one school year. If we can hopefully again replicate that this year, we'll be able to see that that data is progressing those math, the math foundation so that we are hopeful that we can achieve our more lofty goals. Our sped went up, which was great, and then our socioeconomically disadvantaged, that also went down. So that's gonna kind of be one of our focuses of, in addition to everything I'm gonna talk about on our key action items, obviously will help all of these kiddos. So our one thing to see that kind of go off as well at 45%. So for key actions, discontinued, it's the same thing, kind of, we're all seeing funding, of course, is a little bit less this year, so we've had to get very creative in how we use our intervention money, even to the point of like making a work calendar very strategic for certain employees to kind of almost like penny pinch their hours, but in a way that is really maximizing the time when kids need support, like for example, before lunch, we know that that's when they're the most engaged. And maybe, you know, letting go of some of the afternoon things to help with that funding. So it's just been a lot of like brainstorming, trying this, trying that, and getting very creative. Similar to ELA, we also have some pretty robust and successful math interventions going on. We've got great pull-out intervention for second and third grade, and also some first graders in there as well. That other person who really focuses on those foundational skills, playing math games with them, getting them to really, you know, manipulate numbers. So that's fantastic. And then for fourth to eighth grade, it's more of a push intervention than pull out. But we've kind of revamped how our fourth and fifth grade is using our intervention staff within their math rotations and pulling.
How does that work for a student, like a pullout, I'm assuming is you're gonna take them out
Yes.
to a small group. Pushing is,
Push-in is when like the teacher, or excuse me, the intervention assistant aide goes into the classroom and helps by either pulling a small group within the classroom or walking around and knowing who needs the extra support. It's like the intervention teacher going into the classroom versus the kids coming out.
out of the classroom. Oh,
Yeah.
got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So how do you decide which
Yeah.
is gonna be more?
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with the people that are providing the intervention support and the age of the kids. So for example, in middle school, what we find is that when you're pulling kids out of their classes, it's almost more stressful for them because the workload is heavier, the expectations are higher. So they are so focused on what they're missing and having to make it up, that the time that they're spending outside of the classroom is actually not really making that big of a difference. Versus if there's a person going into their classroom that's walking around, that they can, you know, say, hey, can you help me with this? Or if it's just part of their routine that they go meet with that intervention teacher with a couple of other students during a small group time within the classroom, it's like immediate support in that environment. And then on the younger age side, because the second and third and also the first grade, their development is more foundational. When you're able to pull them out, it's not like they're missing a big thing in class that they would have to make up because it's, you know, more simplified academics. But also that intervention teacher can really target those really important foundational skills that can kind of make or break if you're able to make it in a math class. Like for example, the one-to-one correspondence. If a kid doesn't know to say like 1, 2, 3 as they're counting an object, if they're just like 1, 2, 3. That's really hard for them to be able to access the rest of their curriculum within the general education classroom. So if they can get that support outside with a, you know, one-on-one or a much smaller aide or a teacher, then they can master those foundational skills that then can translate into the general classroom and then be able to make progress through the curriculum. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And we've tried both.
okay,
That's what we're finding is most successful right now.
okay.
Sorry,
Just to add that again, just a second. Just to add in, so when, if kids are coming out into a small group, it's not during that same class. So they don't come out of their math class.
Hmm.
So when they come out, it's a double dose. So those are usually the kids that need more, right?
Cool.
And so they go to regular math and then they have another, in middle school, they have a whole other class that's math intervention.
Oh, okay,
Or in elementary, it could be a
okay.
But for the kids that just need a little bit of help, the aides are pushing in.
And in middle school, when it's a math intervention time slot and kids are being pulled out, the other kids, are they self-directing or self-learning, or is the teacher kind of helping them?
Yes,
An
with middle
elective.
school, it's like an elective class,
Okay,
so
got
when
it.
all the kids are doing their electives, there's a group of kids that go to a
Math
math
intervention.
intervention elective.
Okay,
That are specifically needing help targeting those math skills.
that makes sense. Thank you.
Similar to how Sherry was talking about the ELA teacher we have that has
Yeah,
made
yeah.
tremendous growth in reading intervention, same kind of idea, but for
Math.
question. So speaking of the middle school intervention, actually, one of our newly introduced action items is we were able to increase the number of electives we had. So last year we had 2 math intervention electives. This year we were able to increase that to 3 blocks of math intervention. So we're able to catch more kids that need it throughout the day. And we have 2 teachers that teach that, and they're both really great about figuring out what it is the kids need, helping them set goals, helping them make that growth. I was just talking with one of the teachers today and during our standards-based think tank meeting and talking about how even in 8th grade, how important it is to have those conversations with kids about why they're in a math intervention and the purpose of we want to help you. We're not just doing this because, we're wasting your time, but we're helping you, set up for success. We want to support you so that when you are in your normal 8th grade math class, for example, you can, relate some of the strategies we're trying to hear into there and help kind of bridge that gap a little bit. So the 3 study skill is what we call them, the 3 intervention electives in middle school has been great.
Is that a challenge though? Is it to, obviously there's a lot of benefit to having that time set aside. Is there a challenge to get kids to get on board with that versus a different elective?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay.
There are kids that, for example, like if a child has been in band, like music, for example,
Mhm.
it's sometimes hard to help them understand. We need you to be able to add and subtract and multiply and divide almost before you can take on an instrument. Not that, we're putting one against each other, but with the constraints of the 7-period schedule, unfortunately, they can't do both. But luckily at EDS, we are able to have other ways that they can kind of get a little bit of both. So for example, a lot of kids want to do Spanish, which could be their elective, but then they wouldn't get to be in the math or ELA intervention. So we have a 0-period Spanish that kids could take, so they could come early to school, still get that Spanish, and then during the school day, do the math or the reading intervention. Same thing with music. If they can't participate during the school day music, they might be able to, do a jazz band or a chamber strings that meet before or after school. So they still can kind of get a little bit of both without feeling like they're missing.
Yeah.
But it is challenging. There have been a couple instances where kids are just kind of like plateauing, not really trying, and despite the teacher really working with them. And then it's having conversations with them, with their families, kind of figuring out how can we support you so that you can start to see how important it is that you're receiving the help you need sometimes.
Can I ask so we talk about funding decreases and so this question is a little bit to Chris, but if your I'll look at that direction, that guy. So if you move your interventions from 4 days to 5, from 5 to 4, or creatively use the hours, I get that. Would you make more progress if you didn't have to do that?
If we didn't have to change the
If you
like,
had-
amount of hours, you mean? It's a good question. I guess we'll kind of see this year because this is the first time we've had to become more creative with the hours and the amount of support. It's almost like, I would correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't feel like we've had to remove any intervention support completely. Like we didn't have to say, I'm so sorry, we can't afford you anymore, you're no longer an intervention teacher. But instead, what we've done is we've taken our pool of people and said, okay, can you work a little bit less here? Can you maybe do middle and elementary? can you not work on Wednesdays when the middle school blocks are shorter? So we'll see this year if it makes a difference. It's kind of a year of trying it.
I think we'd love to hear, like, again, sometimes operating under constraints makes people attentive to, decisions, review things like the software services you're using, like, oh, I should go take a look at those. Are we really using this thing? So I don't want to, like, that tension should exist. And we have limited resources. But I also want to be penny wise and a pound foolish, which is, hey, we have kids that really need an additional support. I want to make sure we're having that conversation about, well, do we need to come back and take a look at that?
Yeah.
So if you get further along in your process,
Yes.
we'd love to pick up that conversation to hear that we're serving kids well.
As well, because it is new to us.
Then thank you for being creative. We understand that we push those constraints down.
He's really good at that. Let me,
Penny pinching.
yeah, the penny.
Yeah.
I guess that's like,
Most of them get it spent.
I always understand it. Yeah. Thank you for that work, though. I do want to make sure we don't find ourselves in a position because we were trying to do the right thing and we lost sight of
The thing.
the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those kids, yes. Yeah. I guess lastly, I'll just mention that one of the other things that we constantly at EDS are thinking about is we kind of have these two bigger pools of kids, really high highs that are overachievers that are meeting the extensions, the challenges, and then we've got those intervention kids that we've just been talking about. So a lot of our key actions are targeting those kiddos. But we also find that we've got kids performing, multiple grade levels above what they're just assigned to. And what are the ways that we can challenge them, help them, reach their potential. So some of our ongoing and newly introduced action items, such as Math Olympiads, the MAA math competition, which is also called AMC Math. Those are programs that are a lot of parents run, that help give those high achievers a chance to kind of excel. They participate in these math competitions. There's ongoing weekly meetings with parents to help train them and practice these assessments and these maths, big kind of more widespread concepts. So we also are trying to make sure that we're not just forgetting about those, but reaching everybody else.
You find that you success with kind of getting parents, I know Math Olympiad is it's a tough ask.
Oh, 100%.
Okay,
The parents are like always, can we bring this back? Can we do this again? When can we start?
okay.
So it's great. We're very, very fortunate to have such dedicated parents that they're coming at like 7 a.m. on a Wednesday or something before they go off to work for the day. So I think it's a passion for them too. So we love that they're.
That's amazing.
And then we're also trying this new thing this year called Peer Teach, which is it's an online program, but it's actually targeted for intervention, but it's like good teaching and good student collaboration and communication. Basically, it teaches kids how to coach each other in math. And our second grade team is piloting it this year. And it's like this, I was watching a video on it and it's like teaching how to kind of coach someone to get to an answer without saying, here's the correct answer and what kind of language you can use to help guide them. And then they switch. So it's got very purposeful partnerships. So we're excited to see what that's gonna look like. One of our teachers just submitted an MEF grant to help kind of pay for that for this year. So we're looking forward to see if that's also something that can help kind of with our math work, so. Yeah.
Before you move on to the slide, I did read Struggly in your SIPSA, and I was like, that was another pop out word for me.
Yes.
Can you expand on that?
Yeah. Okay, so Struggly is also an online program. It comes from the world of Joe Bowler,
Okay.
who is the mindset math foundations kind of person who really believes in the bigger concepts of math instead of just teaching kids how to solve algorithms. It's teaching them, okay, how could you take this math concept and how does it apply in the real world? But also, how can you take something as simple as a grid that has different rectangles and having a math conversation about how many different rectangles are there, small ones, big ones all together. So Struggly was designed by those people. And it's an online program that helps build number sense, deeper understanding, and math resilience. So the reason it's called Struggly is because kids actually get like points and stars if they struggle, keep going, and then make progress. So it's like very abstract concept. It's all about like, I remember one is counting ducks, which again, sounds silly, but it's all about manipulating numbers and they want you to kind of be like, oh, I'm struggling, I can't figure this out. And then it teaches you that math resilience of, okay, this isn't working, I gotta try something else. And then, you know, the reward of now I get stars, kind of struggle. So they're living in that uncomfortable nature to help build their math resilience. And our kids love it.
That's
Do they?
Yeah, they're always, yeah, struggle. So I think that, and even the lows, like the highs, you can understand why they would enjoy something like that. But we found that even the low achievers that are struggling, enjoy being on struggling. Because it's at their level too, so they're able
Okay.
to kind of manipulate within their realm of.
What grade are they?
Right now, we have it, second and fifth. Yeah.
I'm not supposed to.
No, you're good. You're good.
I know, probably.
I
I need to send that more fee one.
I love it.
No, and you're encouraged to
Yeah.
talk, to contribute and collaborate. Yes, please. Yeah, don't. You're very welcome.
Any other questions on that?
I have tons, but no.
Thank you for the-
Well, I'm very curious about math adoption. We chatted about this, so we'll be interested in your team's perspective on upcoming math adoption works.
I'm gonna be right in there.
Awesome.
Lucky us. All right.
School climate, I get to join in on this one.
Okay.
So our school climate data, we're starting with the student climate data and, the upper grade students, all of the students filled it out because they were filling it out in their classrooms, so a large population. We were really excited to see such growth in the perception of the students because we have been working very hard to work on inclusivity and, belonging, respect. So some of the things that we really focused on last year were respect agreements across the campus. So every classroom was doing respect agreements regularly throughout the year, really talking about restorative practices and discussing issues and who's affected by which behaviors. So guiding students into participating, that's through PBIS and restorative practices. Our counselors also spent a lot of time doing outreach. Last year, they were in 4th and 5th grade classrooms doing full class presentations on, peer behaviors. So we were getting the tier 1 kids with outreach from the counselors as well as the kids that need more intensive work. We have student-driven lunchtime clubs in middle school, and we also have Husky Hangouts during 2, 3, 4, and 5 lunch, where kids have some chances to play games and to practice game behavior as well as sports. So we were really happy to see that there was a lot of growth with that. We're shooting for 75% of students feeling that they're valued members of the school, because that wasn't quite as high as we wanted to see. And we want them to feel safe at school and that their teachers care about and have high expectations for them. So that's kind of that rigor that the teachers really expect them to work to their potential. So we're going to continue with that.
Before you move on, though, I do want to highlight, those are some big gains, and that's not an easy task. So congratulations on that.
Teacher climate data, again, not quite as great of growth, but looking at the school leadership, we're feeling pretty good about.
As you should.
So we noticed that the teachers want more feedback and coaching. They're looking for more input on what they're doing in the classroom. And we're really excited this year about the new district focus on PD because for the last 2 years, we had Teachers College and Jan Richardson. We had a lot of learning. And this year, the PD is really about, okay, now let's get together and let's make this work for us. So the teachers are really having a chance to talk to each other, work as groups with teacher mentors, guiding them. But really, how is it working for you? And what's the best and what could we do better? And so we're really excited about that PD because the teachers are feeling kind of like they can take a deep breath and take ownership of the learning. So we're excited about that. We've also been listening a lot to the teachers during collaboration days. We're trying to empower the teachers as well in their groups to come up with things that they're all trying and then getting back and revisiting and talking about how's it working, how can we make it better. So we're really encouraging a lot of team conversations, which we've always had very strong grade level teams at EPS. But we're really empowering the teachers, hopefully, by giving them the coaching and the feedback and helping them to coach one another. We have a couple of new teachers that have joined in the school in 4th grade and 2nd grade. Chelsea's been spending a lot of time in supporting them in guided reading looks like this and classroom management looks like that. And giving them a chance as well to go into these and observe what's going on. So we're working hard to empower our teachers, but also to help them expand their skills. We go into classrooms regularly, we talk to teachers, leave them notes, and we want everybody to feel included in the group. So we're shooting for 75% of staff that feel that they receive regular quality feedback and that their professional skills are growing through PD and collaboration. So that's our goal for teachers. And family, not our survey. So we were doing quite a few things to support families. And we want to do a lot more. So I'm gonna go to my notes. So the PTO is using Constella as well as Country Lane. We're finding that there are a lot more avenues for parents to take ownership, to create groups. We've already been using it for the pumpkin patch and for the sports teams. And it's really easy for parents to chime in, to share pictures, to do all kinds of things. So Constella has been really successful. It's not quite as easy to use as they say it is, but nothing ever is.
Good for us. We just don't get it.
They love it.
So we use, as Chelsea mentioned, the AMC8 and the Math Olympiad are run by parents, so empowering parents, reaching out to parents. The AMC8, I help them gather the materials, but they present the lessons with the kids, so that's really nice. We have like lots of opportunities for them to see the kids are getting enrichment. We have diverse music opportunities. We have a rock band that's gonna be playing in Patch on Saturday.
They already did in my voice.
Okay. It's self-directed student rock band, but supported by our music teacher. We have choirs, we have elementary choir and middle school choir. So we're giving the kids lots of opportunities to follow their passions and supporting them in that. And parents are also supporting. Every day you see the parents bringing their amplifiers for the guitars. They have to cart it to and from school so they can practice, right? They're ready. So again, our counselors are doing a lot of outreach. Last year, the counselors did a number of parent meetings in the morning in the MU. With parents of different languages, they provided in Spanish, we had some Russian outreach. Giving parenting skills, Chelsea does Love and Logic every year in both English and Spanish. So we're giving, we're trying to incorporate the families and empower them and build their parenting skills. Our counselors as well, in some cases, when we see families that really need parenting coaching, they've done one-on-one with a few families to develop those skills of the parents and help to support the kids, which helps to support us in the classroom, of course. We do evening events like family math night and to help develop strong problem solving skills and to show parents that math is not just worksheets and drill and kill. Because a lot of the kids, when I was in the classroom, a lot of the kids would bring their Chinese class homework or their math tutoring homework to my class because they'd get in trouble if they didn't do their homework and they had to have 100%.
Oh.
Whereas my class, they do the work, but I guess I was nicer than their other teachers were, so they said, well, I just need to finish this. My class is my class time. But to encourage the kids to expand their knowledge and to understand that problem solving and thinking is what's important, not just that number on a page. So we're looking for 80% of families to feel that their EDS is a good fit for their kids' needs. We were thinking that more families would feel that way because we are a popular school. With the family climate data, you don't get as broad a spectrum of people who fill it out, it's optional. But we really want to offer a lot of different opportunities so we can meet the needs of the community. And we're hoping that 75% of families feel that they are expanding their capacity to be parents and to help their children grow into productive adults. Any questions? So the last one, I'm just gonna kind of summarize. So discontinued again, we're kind of refining. We've had lunch clubs for middle school, kind of as kids wanted them. They came up with a lot of interesting lunch clubs throughout the years. Some are a hit, some aren't. But it was pretty much if they could find a teacher to sponsor it. And this year we had to hone it in a little bit because we had a lot of clubs going on. So this year they're creating half-year clubs. So if you get to go the first half of the year, those who didn't get the first half can go in the second half of the year. And that way those that kind of dwindle out go. We also have our regular year-long clubs that are going to continue. Second step has gone away. Character Strong is the new character curriculum, which I was going to mention over here. I was talking to some of the kids the other day and they really like Character Strong. They say the activities are much more engaging, the conversations are good. We had our advisory classes, which were 6th, 7th, 8th, doing second step. And we found the conversations were not quite as deep in the very grade level classes. So with the Character Strong, we made pods in our advisory classrooms. So it's all 6th, all 7th, all 8th going through the activities. And the teachers are saying that they as well are observing that the kids are much more engaged and much more willing to participate. So let's see, attendance coming up. Attendance, we have not done anything fancy with our attendance. We find that really outreach, I spend a lot of time making phone calls, visiting with families to talk about attendance. We have an amazing attendance clerk who knows everybody. And we have some kids who have ongoing health issues. So we have a girl who was just recently diagnosed with celiac disease, who was missing a lot of school because of her disease. We have another one who was just diagnosed. She started in kindergarten demonstrating symptoms and she's in 8th grade now, was just diagnosed with, and I do not know the name of the disease, it was crazy, but something about her joints being too loose
Oh.
and her movement. But that was like an 8-year process and she missed a lot of school throughout that, going to specialists here and there. Finally, at Stanford, they were able to diagnose and give her a treatment, which for the family is a relief. Finally, they kind of know what's going on. But she was missing school because of things like that. So Christy is really good at prioritizing. These are families that really just need to get a clue. They need to be here. One thing that also helps with the attendance is we have some families who want to take vacation and go to India or Asia. And with the 7-day leave, if they're gone 8 days, then they're dropped from EDS. And they don't always get back into EDS. And those conversations happen with the community. So some people change their vacation plans, which is important. They need to know school year isn't the time for vacation. We do a lot of newsletters. Sherry does her weekly message out to parents. She tries not to inundate parents with messages all the time. So you get the one message with everything. So there's a go-to place for where to go for information. Volunteers, we have amazing volunteers with the PTO and everybody at school. So we encourage and celebrate the volunteers. We have a lot of field trips and assemblies. I think the number is 71.
Yeah, I think it was
Field trips last year that we are able to provide because the PTO pays for the bus. So that supported PTO really makes a lot of things that we do possible. And the big thing that I think we three really want to celebrate is our care team meetings. We started these last year. The care team meetings are the counselors and this year the CBA. And us and the psychologists meet weekly to really talk about the kids that are struggling, talk about the kids of concern. And we get a full 360-degree picture of what's going on with these kids. This year we have expanded it to talk about attendance and academic concerns as well as behavioral concerns. And we feel that it really just helps us understand what's going on. And that's mostly where we are. I will say, overall, this is fluid, it keeps going, a lot of the things we've been doing keep going, we're just tightening, changing a little bit. But our focus is really on building community and supporting families and students to be the best thing.
Maybe we have one more slide. Sorry. Hey. Yeah, these are just kind of some highlights, but they all go around the same theme of making public uses of our very large number, our 1,000 million trillion piece puzzle that is EDS. I always feel sorry for people when they come, they're just like, what is happening here? Fit together. And I think that is a key to the success of everything, right? The success of our community, the success of our kids, obviously, the success of our staff. So Character Strong has been a great way to refocus on character education. We were using consistently second step, but it was rolled out in kind of, I'll admit, kind of just like a piecemeal way when we started using it. It just was kind of like, okay, we're using this, and then some people were using it, and then it's adding on. But this time we're like, okay, we're moving to Character Strong. Let's look at the theme. Let's see how this works. And so it feels much more consistent, more across campus. Constella, I think one of the cool things that has touchdown for our families is that you can create loops in there. And again, I don't really understand how to use it. I can't really figure it out, but so I get But there are lots of groups in there, but they've made like pickleball groups and like they have a safety committee. And they have,
Oh,
yeah, they have all these things that people just can join a group and then they send something out. We obviously have groups for the sports teams and groups for the walkathon and Map Olympiad and that kind of thing. But all of a sudden there's, you know, pickleball and there's something like 100 people in this pickleball group.
oh, wow.
And
Yeah, that's
true, but then everybody, you know, where did our parent volunteers go? Well, they're all thinking. We're eliminating that. Anyway, it's been great. I think it really will help with community building, I feel. And then I just wanted to kind of highlight what Maria was saying, the consistency with which we are addressing our, those tiers. So primary, you know, instruction and support for kids in social and emotional learning. And then that secondary kind of intervention piece, and then that top, because they need more intensive intervention is very, very cohesive and very well done right now. And I'm super proud of that. And I think it's because we have our counseling team, we've done a lot of talking. One example is that our counseling, it used to be at the beginning of the year, teachers would get to know kids, and then it started to be like referral, you know, these kids all need counseling. And it wasn't a good use of their time. And so we started last year, and it's continued this year with, they start the year and until about January, they are just doing classroom lessons. So we take all those things that kids need, self-regulation. I was in a kindergarten class today and she was doing a self-regulation lesson. It was hilarious. But the kids were like self-regulated, it was so, but I was like, oh, you can do that. Okay, I'll remember that on the playground. Anyway, but so they're going in, they're pushing in, they're doing these lessons of things that kids all need. And then they won't start having small groups until like January. So anybody that kind of didn't get it and still needs to be with them, and that's been a better use. And then our care team, this has been really a great way to get started. And follow up with teachers, and I think teachers feel better, they know what happened there, we're really transparent about it. So that everyone's on the same page. And then, I know I said this, but I really just, I'm excited about the consistency of the writing program and how that's gonna give us an opportunity to talk vertically.
Fabulous. Okay, we have questions, comments?
I mean, this is, as I said, you know, EDS is a complicated beast. And it takes a lot of work to do what you guys do. So thank you for that. Clearly, I also appreciate the candor with which you talked about, you know, where your challenges are and how you're going about it. I think that's always appreciated. There are a lot of pretty exciting things that I see in here. So love to kind of keep track of how they're progressing throughout the year, what challenges do they have, anything from a support perspective that obviously we could provide to help mitigate those or anything. You know, that's our role.
So for me, you answered all of my questions as we went through, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
Wow, I know. Well, I interjected, which I don't normally like to do. But one thing that I noticed in reading your SIPSA is the reference to capitalizing on the diversity in EDS, and that is woven throughout that entire document. And I just want to celebrate that. You know, because it is a challenge for sure on all of our campuses, the diversity and the change in demographics and all of that stuff. But looking at it as an opportunity, it makes all the difference. And I see that all over the district, but I just wanted to call it out because it really shows up a lot in your documentation. So thank you for that. Should I find a question? Should I? No. I do.
We answered all those post-its.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, you did. All right, this is an action item.
Well, can I say a few words?
I'm so sorry.
I would love to
Please
say a
do.
few words.
Sure.
So when I listened to this presentation and some of the things that popped out at me, we've been using this framework of the opportunity maker schools and thinking about how schools make 1.3 years worth of growth in a year, and then over the 3-year period of time, eventually get kids caught up. And so when we were talking about those typical growth scores and digging down into that iReady data, and your goals around your subgroups they're not just ambitious. I mean, they're phenomenal goals, but the fact that you really think you can get there tells me that you are creating, and you probably have, but you're like really honing in on being that opportunity maker school, or we close those gaps. But it's not 1 year. It takes a few years, but to put your eye on that focus, I just want to commend you for that. I think it's really good work. And I agree that the foundational literacy, being consistent and systematic with that, is a game changer, is going to be a game changer for our little ones. I just think that was a good move that we made. So other than that, I love watching the writing in action. So thank you for hosting one of our first instructional rounds. That was exciting to see the teachers in those units. And so just thank you for all of your work with the 950 kids that you have and the families that represent them and all that you're doing. You're double the size of our elementary schools. So, that's a lot. And so I just want to say thank you to all of you. Now,
okay, go. It is an action item.
It is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the EDS 2025-26 school plan for student achievement.
Fabulous. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank
Cool.
you both.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
And have a great evening.
Thank you. You made it safely from inside.
From the sky, yes. My day started in New York and I had to stop in Phoenix.
In New York.
She was on.
This morning.
Oh, I don't.
That would be.
It'll work. You made it in time.
Oh, thank you. Sorry that
You're such a mama.
I know.
She is.
I know she is. I love her.
no, so I've been in
Yeah.
a meeting. So
All right. So 6C, certificated assignments.
It's my recommendation that the board approve our PIPS, STIPS, and flood emergencies. Some of these are new hires that came in, so we needed to add them again, add them in for people doing long-term sub positions. They're all qualified to be in these. Some are doing the Project Lead the Way and Avid, so they don't have an actual credential in that. And those were things that opened after we last brought this to you. So I bring it to you again. And some of it is with, again, I said people who have newly hired or put into long-term positions.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
I don't compare it versus years past. Is this more or less, is this a trend? Is there anything concerning about the sheer number of it? Because from a layperson, you're like, well, it seems like a lot. But
Yeah, it's about the same. We try to get way ahead of it, and I think then schedules changed, and then I gave you another one, and then schedules changed, and then we also had some long-term leaves and a teacher that we needed that to switch out. So then they are on here. But yeah, I think we tried to get ahead of it a little too soon.
Okay.
All right. Any
They're
other
still
questions?
credentialed teachers.
They're still
They're
credentialed
highly
teachers that are-
qualified. They just don't have that.
That doesn't matter.
Yes,
And
the key ones are just in that clad specific. They might be coming from another state where they don't have the clad embedded. So it doesn't mean they're not capable of doing it. They've worked with language learners or just working on getting that clad clearance.
It's just a timing.
It's just a timing thing, so that we can get them in there.
And they're all in process of getting this.
These people are fully credentialed, yes. to get
Yes.
the clad, this is emergency clad. They have a timeline, TikTok, and they've got to get that cleared.
Okay.
And then Holly Brown and Joel, they're doing Avid. They've been to Avid trainings. They've been to all the trainings, but you can't have a credential in Avid.
Yeah.
So it's an elective, so they're basically teaching outside of their credential.
Got it.
Thanks.
So you always are gonna see these for Avid and.
Right.
I was gonna ask, so especially with the effort of going towards a school-wide AVID program, does that,
Doesn't matter because you're not credentialed in that
elective.
Okay.
So they're highly trained.
Mhm.
And so we feel comfortable bringing them here, saying they're highly trained to do that. However, they don't have a credential to do that.
Any other questions?
No.
Hearing, any comments? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the assignments based on education codes, PIPs, TIPs, internships, and emergency credentials.
Nice.
That was fun.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Action and discussion items, Resolution 2, 2025-2026, authorizing the Moreland School District to enter into a transaction with the CDE.
All right, thank you. This is a routine annual item that we bring before the board, but very important. And this is regarding our preschool and our Moreland State Preschool contract with the California Education. It involves our application, but you see it attached there as the CSA, that is the official document that the state requires us to. And also our signature page, and that contracts us for the 2025-26 year and authorizes us the 26-27.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I just want to make sure, Sherm, you, I don't know if you were.
No,
waiting
I'm
to-
just reading through it. No questions.
Then I'd submit a motion to approve.
And a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Fabulous. Now I think it's.
The Chris Barbera
I
show.
was just gonna say that. Let's start
We've got
with,
some song and dance ready for us.
excellent.
Well, it'll be a couple hours more than this.
I just want to say that I bring some caffeine for the portion of that.
Thanks.
You want to just go? Okay.
There's gonna be 6 contracts, they all relate to the bond project, so as you know, back in May, facilities committee brought you the designs. So we're at the point of now we're gonna move forward with the fields.
Mhm.
So we have 6 contracts. If you remember back in April in 2021, when we first passed Measure M, we entered into master agreements with both co-ed and
Mhm.
so we have three projects that need that are on the action and discussion, so I'll just go through them.
Can I pause you, Chris, on that? Because it feels like we now continue to hire co-ed and like if you're a layperson looking at it, you'd be like, you guys just keep hiring these people. And you're like, yeah, but we made a decision a long time ago to hire these people
For the duration
for
of
the duration of the project. Why do we have to keep rehiring them at each specific project?
Because there are contracts, every contract is separate, so it's for the specific projects.
Okay.
So that's why we bring it to you every. So it's just to be transparent, but yeah, the master agreement.
Yeah.
Because you're approving the contract, the amount of the contract, like that's your part of your board duties and fiduciary duties is the contract part of it.
It gives me something to do.
Yeah, well, I'm always worried about that, actually.
I want to make sure I'm a speaking partner. I'm just gonna keep bringing it to you. So we're in the beginning parts of the field. So just real quick, these are for kind of the design phases. So we're gonna start that hopefully by April, May, we'll be able to take it to DSA. Once it gets through DSA, it could be a variety of timeframe, but it's, we're looking at, kind of between April, July timeframe. Once we get it there, then we'll go out for the bidding process to get the contractors. So then we'll come back with more contracts once we go through that process. And so we're hoping to kind of start the construction sooner than later, but they're ready to develop September 26th for Baker's small project. November, December for kind of this. So we're hoping we shrink that, just depends on how quick we get through DSA and squeeze that.
So-
it's funny you go back on that.
Yeah, when we've had site visit lists, I know that I have, I've asked, if I was on a campus that was having a project, like, how do you feel about it? What do you think about it? It felt kind of squishy about like how they thought the projects were gonna happen, like the design. So do they get to see post a design, like after the design's more finalized, or do we feel like we have a finalized design?
For the school sites?
Yeah.
So once we get, we brought you like a general.
Right, that's my, right?
Once we have the final designs, then we'll bring it back to the principals so they can see.
That's-
We're talking about field, so.
I just want to check, well, I mean, some were like, well, I'm going to do half and half, like,
Yeah.
how does that half and half look?
Yeah.
And so am I agreeing to, we agreed to a concept.
Mhm.
Now it goes to this drafting process. They get to see a tangible representation about what our final idea is. Do they now then have a chance to provide some more feedback or?
Limited scope. You have to be careful on how much feedback you
Yeah.
start choosing and part of it is, we have to be within budget. So when we're looking at, we're coming to them with like a synthetic field of this size.
Yep.
Well, if if one says, oh, I want it bigger, well, that costs more money. Right? So you have to be careful on
Yeah.
how much. As far as fields, there's only, so many configurations you can actually have.
Yeah, but yeah.
But we do go to them and kind of say, okay, here's our design, you see anything wrong with it?
Right.
Is there any like glaring thing that we might have missed? So in the design phase, maybe we're missing something of where the kids are coming out of, issues. So we do come back to them after with the design.
I think what we're thinking about, just stepping back from the construction side of it, is the communication plan and the rollout of what that looks like. So right now, we're doing survey work, right? And we aren't ready to go to a school community and say, this is what it's going to look like. This is how it's actually going to be. So when we get that, we'll be able to go back to the school community and, put things on our websites. We'll have a communication plan around that to make sure. And the principals are involved like during this design process here and there with limitations, but we are going to need to go back to the school community so they kind of know where did we end up? What was the final decision that was made here?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understood actually the sequencing, because sometimes you feel like, well, I approved this, and then it's like, well, here it's done. And you're like, well, is that really the phase we're at? Because it feels like we're still at like draft one.
We're still at draft one.
And so
We are at draft.
draft one happens, it's now refined. There will still be some little changes about how that process works after you have now a more complete bid. Then you have a final plan that you were approving. I just want to make sure I was in the right.
You're right. Yeah, this is really the
Draft one.
to go forward with the design.
Perfect. That's all I was.
So from a completely naive standpoint, my assumption was it's a field.
Mhm.
Is it a complicated design? Like, is it really, we're in October? People tell me, of course it is,
Oh, that's so much.
It is like
Tired.
grass growing and paint drying, complicated things, Sriram, you don't know what you're talking about.
So the first step, you'll see like under consent, which is separate, is the topo surveys and everything. So you gotta look at the soil. So that's the first step is once we get through these contracts, we'll do the surveying of the soils, the drainage, what's the soil type, if you have clay underneath, you have to go with different, so they go through that. So that's the design.
Okay.
As far as the look gets, it's gonna be very simple.
It'll be green.
Green.
Thank you.
A mixed.
As far as like in the synthetic field, it's the design is kind of the layers, what is the infill we put in, there's those kind of things. And then where do we lay it out on the?
I'm always impressed by my ignorance, so thank you for that.
Just seeing like it's scratch the color. We want to make it flat to this idea.
It's a good idea.
That'd be a massive improvement.
Some sites, yes, I agree. It's a huge improvement.
So that's kind of an overview of the contract. So,
Thank you. I didn't want to ask the same question 6 times.
yeah. So the first one is.
And is this the sequence of how we're proposing to do it? It's where we're going to Baker
In that
and
sequence.
MMS.
So they're all, okay, so we're doing 3 fields at once.
Mhm.
We're gonna start 3 fields at once. The Baker one will probably start sooner because it's a simpler,
Smaller.
smaller. The EDS is just a field. MMS is bigger, so
Correct.
the design process, the DSA is gonna take a little longer.
Okay.
So we're gonna start at the same time. And then, once we finish the design, we'll submit it to DSA. So they might start at different times, as far as like bidding.
Okay.
We'll continue to keep you apprised of like, what the process is. Are we bidding it for our contractors in 3 separate fields? Sometimes you can do 1 contractor for all 3, but that's still in the discussion. So
And one of the things that we talked about was when you have this multiple projects going on, where do the kiddos go for their planned activities, et cetera? Is that part of the design phase to kind of like do this Tetris game?
That's where the communication comes into play with the principals, and so each individual project, the school site has to worry about during the day. So we're gonna talk about on what's, off limits and so forth.
The
As
logistics.
far as the bigger picture, as far as sports, because that's one that affects middle school at EDS. We have other properties where we can go and do soccer.
Right.
So we thought about that. That's why we decided to do all 3 fields at once. Originally, we were gonna do 2.
Okay.
And then it's kind of brought up of like, why can't we do all 3? And
yeah,
we can't. So we have other fields to be able to still do our after-school sports. It is gonna be an impact.
For sure,
It's
yeah.
major projects. Fields are gonna be shut down. We're gonna work on that communication plan to the community, to the staff, to all the families, and make sure they understand, and we'll see the progress.
Awesome.
Construction won't begin until late summer on at the earliest on any of these.
Yeah.
So we have some time before we are really planning the logistics of the recess and the lunch activities and the where the sports go and all.
Or even things like Baker's having their catwalk next year, if this
Yeah, it's
overlaps.
a very loose timeline because we don't know the process, but
That's fair.
yeah, we do have time to make sure we're communicating.
Sounds good.
I really appreciate that there will be or is a communication plan.
Mhm.
I imagine there will be a lot of questions and a lot of, anytime you plan something, something always comes up, right? And so being in touch regularly will be really important. I'm anticipating, because the topic of natural turf versus artificial turf is a little bit controversial, people kind of fall on one side or the other. I just want to make sure we're kind of planning and communicating and giving folks the opportunity to feel heard. The impact that has is to be determined, all that good stuff. But I want to think that through in advance. So folks don't feel caught by surprise.
This is the biggest thing we've done. I mean, certainly since I've been superintendent, it's bigger than the
Gates.
the
or
gate, the fence, and yes, I was thinking the same thing. It is bigger than the fencing project, and that was a big project for us. This impacts community members, neighbors, how they think about their toddlers play during the day, right? Then you've got just our students and the school logistics, then you've got the city who also uses our space. You've got all of the renters who lease our space in terms of, the fields for the different sports teams and all of that. This is massive.
Yeah.
And so we have some time to put the communication plan together. Maureen and I started talking about that. I've been talking about it with the project team. So it is not falling on deaf ears how big of a communication plan this needs.
Okay. I just was wanting to call out that turf versus natural, because what I have found is that people who, and I'm obviously generalizing, this is not everybody, but people who are passionately against artificial turf are very passionate. And so I just want to make sure that we're engaged and listening and,
And
educating
communicating our choices, right? Our
Exactly.
choices around more environmentally friendly infill and those kinds of
Exactly.
things.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to go down the list or you want to?
The first one is the agreement between co-ed architects for the architectural services for Easterbrook Discovery School Field improvements. I would recommend this.
Any questions or comments? A motion to approve?
Submit a motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, the next one is to award the agreement to Gilbane for construction management services for the Easterbrook Discovery School Field improvements. Same.
Is this for the actual construction or this is more for
The
the
construction management. They
construction?
oversee everything to make sure we're within budget,
Okay.
everything is in order.
Any other questions, comments, a motion?
I'll submit a motion to approve Gilbane Building Company.
In a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Just, once we get through the design and the DSA, then we go out for
The actual.
bids for the actual project.
Okay.
The construction project. All right, so the next one, seven D is to award the agreement to co-ed for architectural services for Baker Elementary field improvements. Recommend the board approves that.
Make a motion to approve for Baker.
In a second,
I'll second.
all in favor, say aye.
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 Seven E, award the agreement to Gilbane for construction management services for Baker Elementary field improvements. It's recommended that you approve.
I'll make a motion to approve for Gilbane for Baker.
In a second,
I'll second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. F,
On to seven F. This is the agreement for architectural services for the Moreland Middle School field improvements. We recommend that you approve that.
We're not gonna break up the band trio, are you?
All right, okay. I wanted to give somebody else an opportunity to do that. Baker's my baby, so I made a motion for Baker, but I'll make a motion to award the co-ed architect for MMS. Sorry, was my plans showing?
You're the lead singer, apparently.
I went off script, sorry.
and a second,
I'll
You have
second.
one job. One job.
all in favor?
Playing
Aye.
the triangle here.
More cowbell, please.
Aye.
Oh,
Yes, aye.
Did you vote, Ryan?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, seven G is to award the agreement to Gilbane for construction management services for Moreland Middle School field improvements. We recommend it.
I can feel it there. I'll make a motion to award the agreement to Gilbane for the from MMS.
Hi.
Second,
I feel like-
Pigs have eaten.
Read this morning.
a second,
I'll second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. On to change order number 1.
All right, so this is the last I have for today.
Mhm.
So this is actually a deductive change order. This was the Anderson Sewer project. We're just not using the full amount. So,
Excellent.
Anything change? Just
Yeah.
curious.
no, they just didn't use the full amount. It's rare, so it's to get that.
Why not approve?
So we recommend that you approve it.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay,
Order number 1.
in a second,
I'll second it.
all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. On to the consent. Any questions or comments on tonight's consent?
No,
Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent items in aggregate.
In a second,
I'll second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Closing items, future meeting dates.
FYI, I will likely be attending the November 18th, not likely, I will be attending the November 18th remotely.
Zoom.
Via Zoom.
Anyone else?
I may not be able to attend the October 28th meeting. I'm going to be a parent and witness my daughter's last volleyball game at Prospect.
Well, I have an actual problem on that too. I'm actually out of town on the 20th, I was gonna say, so I don't know. I'm in Seattle. I guess I could do that remotely if necessary.
Okay,
Should we have a quorum?
yeah,
We have a conflict on it.
okay. Obviously we've got a couple of weeks, but you think you can, or you're thinking maybe you can?
I think I can attend remotely in the
Okay.
evening, but at a minimum, I'd have to do it remotely.
You'll be here?
I will be here, yes.
All right, I'll be here. Okay, announcements, reminders, requests. Sorry, did you have anything? Okay.
Set time.
Announcements, reminders, requests? No, all right, we are adjourned to closed session.
Thank you.